In 1912, the Titanic was the most advanced passenger ship ever built. A floating city of luxury, engineering, and human ambition, crossing the Atlantic with over 2,000 people on board. But instead of watching the Titanic as a story, imagine seeing it as a real place. Every corridor, dining hall, cabin, and deck observed as if cameras had quietly existed throughout the ship, capturing ordinary moments, silent routines, and the atmosphere of life on board, before history changed forever. This video is a historically grounded AI reconstruction, built from survivor testimonies, original blueprints, photographs, and historical records. A recreating the Titanic with as much accuracy and realism as possible today. Let's begin with the engine room, the place that kept the Titanic alive. While the upper decks were filled with comfort and elegance, far below, hundreds of men worked tirelessly among massive steam-powered machines. Two enormous reciprocating engines drove the ship's side propellers, while a central turbine added extra power. The Titanic could reach speeds of up to 24 knots, though at the time of the collision, it was moving closer to 22. Down here, it was a different world. Hot, loud, and unforgiving. Fire roared inside the boilers as men pushed themselves to the limit, keeping the ship alive moment by moment. There was no luxury here, no comfort, only work, heat, and survival. Passengers would never see this place, but without it, the Titanic would never move. Now let's explore the cabins of the Titanic and see in extraordinary detail how life looked for passengers in every class aboard the ship. In third class, cabins were simple and crowded, often shared by several passengers at once. Narrow bunk beds, minimal furniture, and little privacy. Yet for many, this was still a step up from what they had left behind. Families stayed close, forming small communities as they crossed the Atlantic in hope of a new life. Despite the modest conditions, many third-class passengers later said the food on Titanic was better than anything they had eaten back home. But that's a story we'll explore a bit later in this journey. In second class, the atmosphere was quieter and more comfortable. Cabins were modest, but well kept, with proper beds, wooden furnishings, and more personal space. It offered a balance between practicality and comfort, designed for professionals, teachers, and middle-class travelers seeking a more refined journey. Some historians believe Titanic's second-class facilities were so advanced that they would have been considered first class on many other ships of the era. At the highest level, the experience became something else entirely. Cabins were designed to rival the finest hotels of the time, with elegant decor, rich wood paneling, and carefully crafted details. Some suites included separate bedrooms, private sitting rooms, and even personal promenades. Soft lighting, thick carpets, and attentive service created a world of comfort and exclusivity. One first-class suite on Titanic reportedly cost more than the average worker earned in several years. For those passengers, the journey felt less like a voyage and more like living in luxury at sea. The differences between classes didn't stop at the cabin door. They continued into the dining room. Third-class passengers ate at long, shared tables in large, practical saloons built to handle high numbers of people. The atmosphere was loud, crowded, and deeply communal. Meals were straightforward: soup, bread, meat, potatoes, and tea, but they were hot, filling, and dependable. What set Titanic apart from many ships of its time was that third-class passengers had dedicated dining saloons at all. On countless vessels, immigrants often ate where they slept. Here, they were given a proper space of their own. Second-class dining offered a noticeably more refined experience. Polished wood interiors, white tablecloths, and full waiter service gave the room the atmosphere of a respectable hotel restaurant rather than a ship at sea. Roast meats, fresh vegetables, puddings, cheeses, and elegant desserts were all served throughout the voyage. Some surviving menus from the crossing revealed just how sophisticated the second-class dining experience truly was. On the evening of April 14th alone, the dinner menu featured 10 separate courses. At the highest level of the ship, the dining rooms were designed to impress as much as to serve. As evening began, the dining saloon settled into a slow routine that could last late into the night, as course after course moved through one of the largest restaurant spaces ever built aboard a ship. As evening began, the dining saloon became one of Titanic's social centers. Wealthy passengers gathered to dine, converse, and display status, while waiters moved constantly between tables in an atmosphere of luxury and prestige. Multi-course meals were served on elegant porcelain tableware, beneath warm lighting in interiors inspired by Europe's grand luxury hotels. Oysters, fresh fruit, fine cuts of meat, pastries, and expensive wines were considered standard. The wealthiest passengers could also dine inside the exclusive a la carte restaurant, a private dining venue separate from the main saloon, designed to feel less like a ship's dining room and more like an upscale restaurant in Paris or London. It was operated not by White Star Line itself, but by renowned Italian restaurateur Luigi Galley and his carefully selected staff. Titanic contains separate kitchen areas for first, second, and third-class passengers, each serving different parts of the ship throughout the voyage. Thousands of meals were prepared daily, making the ship's culinary operation one of the largest ever placed aboard an ocean liner in 1912. The first-class kitchens alone included specialized sections for pastries, bakery items, vegetables, meats, and even ice cream preparation. An impressive level of organization for its time. Behind the scenes, dozens of cooks, bakers, assistants, and kitchen workers operated almost non-stop to keep meals moving across the ship. Large ovens, preparation tables, storage rooms, and serving stations worked together like a carefully organized system. The grand staircase was the symbolic heart of the Titanic, a place designed not simply for movement, but for spectacle. Rising through several decks beneath an enormous glass dome, the staircase combined carved oak woodwork, wrought iron details, elegant lighting, and the famous clock surrounded by allegorical figures representing honor and glory crowning time. For many passengers, this was the first space that truly revealed the scale of the ship's luxury. First-class passengers gathered here constantly throughout the day. Some descended the staircase dressed for dinner, while others paused to meet friends, speak with fellow travelers, or simply admire the surroundings. The staircase connected many of Titanic's most prestigious spaces, including the first-class dining saloon, lounges, and reception rooms, making it one of the busiest social centers aboard the ship. Although the original staircase disappeared with the wreck, it remains one of the most recognizable interiors ever created for an ocean liner. Unlike the elegant spaces reserved for wealthier passengers, the third-class general room was built for community. After long days at sea, passengers gathered here to talk, play cards, share stories, sing, and escape the crowded cabins below. For many immigrants traveling toward a new life in America, this room became the social heart of third class. A place filled with music, conversation, and brief moments of comfort during the crossing. Men and women often spent evenings here together, while children played nearby, and musicians entertained the room with traditional folk songs and dancing. The second-class library offered a quieter and more refined atmosphere than the crowded social spaces found elsewhere on the ship. Decorated with polished wood paneling, comfortable seating, and soft lighting, it became a place where passengers could read, write letters, relax, or simply enjoy a calm moment during the Atlantic crossing. Teachers, businessmen, clergy, and middle-class families often gathered here in the evenings, creating an atmosphere that felt more like a respectable private club than part of a passenger ship. Shelves were stocked with books and newspapers, while large windows allowed natural light to fill the room during the day. Of course, Titanic also featured a first-class reading and writing room, but here everything was designed on an entirely different level of luxury and prestige. Decorated with bright white paneling, soft lighting, comfortable furniture, and large windows, the room offered wealthy passengers a calm escape from the ship's busier public areas. Unlike the darker smoking lounges frequented by men, the reading and writing room was especially popular among first-class women during the daytime hours. Passengers could even have personal letters collected directly from the room and prepared for posting once Titanic reached New York, allowing many to document the voyage while still crossing the Atlantic. As we mentioned earlier, the smoking rooms aboard Titanic had a darker and quieter atmosphere than many of the ship's other public spaces. Dark, polished interiors, dim lighting, leather chairs, and thick carpets created a private environment where wealthy first-class men gathered to smoke cigars, play cards, discuss business, and relax during the voyage. Stewards quietly moved between tables serving drinks while conversations continued late into the evening. Interestingly, the first-class smoking room was used almost entirely by men, while women usually spent time in the reading and writing room or other lounges elsewhere on the ship. If we're truly taking a visual tour through the Titanic, then the pool and gymnasium are places we have to see. For 1912, both were considered remarkably advanced luxuries aboard a passenger ship. The swimming pool featured heated seawater, tiled interiors, changing rooms, and private bathing facilities for first-class passengers, while the gymnasium offered mechanical exercise equipment unlike anything most travelers had ever seen. Although both spaces were open to first-class passengers, they were used mostly by men during the voyage. Still, women also visited the gymnasium during quieter morning hours, often with the assistance of the ship's gym instructor. Another surprisingly luxurious feature aboard Titanic was the Turkish bath and sauna complex, available exclusively to first-class passengers. Designed in an exotic Middle Eastern style, with warm colors, tiled walls, carved details, and soft lighting, the space offered steam rooms, hot baths, cooling rooms, and massage areas intended for relaxation during the Atlantic crossing. Much like the gymnasium, the Turkish baths were used mostly by men, though women could access certain areas during specific hours. Hidden deep below the passenger decks, Titanic's cargo holds carried far more than just luggage. Alongside thousands of bags and crates, the ship transported expensive automobiles, luxury goods, rare books, and valuable paintings on its journey to America. Most passengers never saw these lower sections of the ship, but beneath the elegant cabins and dining rooms existed an enormous, hidden world of cargo and storage areas. Some historians believe the total value of the cargo aboard Titanic would equal hundreds of millions of dollars today. Third-class passengers usually spent time near the stern of the ship, where the atmosphere was simpler and often crowded with families enjoying fresh Atlantic air during the voyage. Second-class passengers had quieter promenade decks with more space and comfort, designed for relaxation and long walks at sea. Some historians even believe Titanic's second-class decks were nicer than the first-class deck areas on many older ships of the time. But the most impressive deck spaces belonged to first-class passengers. Wide promenades, elegant seating areas, deck chairs, and uninterrupted ocean views gave wealthy travelers the feeling of staying at a luxury seaside hotel rather than crossing the Atlantic aboard a ship. Some promenade areas were even partially enclosed to protect passengers from cold ocean winds. Throughout the voyage, first-class guests spent hours walking the decks, socializing, drinking tea, and watching the endless Atlantic stretch beyond the railings. So it's fair to say we've now visited nearly every major location aboard the Titanic, and our journey is slowly coming to an end. And as for what happened next, on April 14th, 1912, that is a story the world already knows. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and let us know in the comments which location you think was recreated most accurately and realistically. More fascinating historical journeys are coming soon, so don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next video.